Recently, something happened to me that I hadn't experienced in a long time. I was walking through a store and I decided to take a stroll down the watch aisle. I never imagined that after having all of the background in watch reselling, I would want to buy a watch at retail price and without a discount. But this watch had something spectacular that simply made me buy it. It was this Seiko GMT, a reissue from a model of 1968. And I'll leave you the specifications here. I had seen this watch in photos before, and I liked it, but seeing it in person is a completely different experience. Now let me give you a sneak peek of what I think about this watch. This is the best goddamn piece Seiko has had in its catalog in a while. But why did I decide to buy this watch at full price? If you're wondering, the price was just under $2,000. And many people might go crazy and say, how can you pay $2,000 for a Seiko? But I would tell you to first consider what I'm about to say, and then feel free to freak out. Throughout my years of collecting watches, I've realized that I like watches that feel expensive, not because of the brand. And I like them well polished with good materials that feel robust and well built, and that obviously look great. And that's why Grand Seiko has become one of my favorite brands. The problem is that to get a Grand Seiko, you need to spend at least $6,000 for a basic model. And the problem with buying them in the grade or second-hand market is that you might get unlucky with an owner who didn't take good care of the watch. Because the impressive thing about these watches is their finishing and the polishing they give to the case, to the indices and the bracelet. But this watch in my hands feels like Seiko is offering me a Grand Seiko at 1/3 of the price. Now, I've mentioned this in previous reviews of the Baby Marine Masters. We have a very faceted and aggressive angles that changed because in the front we have a brushed polish and on the side we have the famous Saratsu polishing. And we have excellent light play from the indices, hands and obviously the finish of the case. In fact, it is said that this case and these watches are finished in the same factory as Grand Seiko. I dare to say the only difference with Grand Seiko is the movement and that this one doesn't say Grand on the dial. So at least for me, this is a watch that feels much more expensive than it actually is. We have sapphire crystal, a steel bezel with ceramic coating, and what I really like is that we have an extremely aggressive design with a dial full of information, which personally I appreciate a lot. We have the GMT hand in gold, and we'll talk about that shortly. There is more text on the dial, more numbers, but what really gives this watch that aggressive touch are the faceted angles that look like swords or samurai blades. And especially the texture of the bezel, which obviously helps with the grip for turning, but has a widely aggressive texture. One of the things that I like the most about this watch is that I thought it would be much taller and thicker. My only point of comparison was the Seiko GMT5, which is undoubtedly a tall watch. However, I like that this watch is much thinner than I imagined, making it extremely comfortable and ergonomic to wear for basically every day. Now let's go back to the fact that this watch is a reissue of a 1968 watch, one of the first Baby Marine Masters that came out with this very peculiar and unique case, which in my opinion is the most beautiful case Seiko makes. Interestingly, many brands are launching reissues of old watches, and these are becoming their most popular models. That says something about the design of that era. But I think Seiko has achieved something spectacular with all its reissued watches, as I believe they are the best watches in their catalog, generally priced between $1,000 and $2,000. Now, if you ever watched Pokemon, you know there are evolutions, and this watch is the perfect evolution of the Baby Marine Master. It is a spectacular, well-built watch, but doesn't it look like the bigger brother? Much more robust, much more muscular, but with the same essence as the watch. In this watch, Seiko made the right decision to debut the new GMT caliber, part of the 6R family, which is much more decorated and has 3 days of power reserve as stated on the dial. Also, if you notice, The steel in this watch appears darker than normal steel because Seiko applies a treatment to harden the steel for more scratch resistance, which applies to both the case and the bracelet. But now we get to the delicate topic of the bracelet. Many people think Seiko and Grand Seiko have a significant problem in creating bracelets. This is the weak point of this great Japanese house. Now, to be honest, it doesn't really bother me. They could undoubtedly be improved with micro adjustments, but I don't think it's Seiko's greatest sin. At least for me, all of the bracelets I've tried from Seiko and Grand Seiko have fit me perfectly. I've never had an issue with discomfort, but I repeat, they could definitely be improved. Now, I believe Seiko is judged with a much higher standard simply because of how historic the brand is. In my opinion, this is the best watch that has come into our hands, and the best part is that the price doesn't seem outrageous at all for everything this watch is offering. It could well be worth double or triple according to Swiss house standards. Think about a watch with this level of complexity and these details would cost if it came from any Swiss brand. Compare the price, and I think it really makes you think. But for me, I found the perfect watch to wear basically every day because it's a watch that you can look at for hours and never get bored. There's always something new to see, something new to admire. The facets and how they play with the light can hypnotize me for a long time. And if I ever get tired of the look of the bracelet, I can put on another strap of various colors because since it's black, it goes with practically every color you want. You could put on a leather strap, a rubber, NATO, literally anything could make this watch look completely different. But tell me, what do you think?